Long ago, in the mist-covered highlands, stood Ashmere Castle, tall, proud, and endlessly cold. Within its highest tower waited Lady Evelyn, a bride whose beauty was rivaled only by her devotion. Her beloved, Sir Rowan, had sworn to return before the first snow of winter, riding beneath a crimson banner that she herself had embroidered with golden thread. He never came back. The snow arrived, then melted, then fell again. Seasons turned into years. Yet Evelyn's vigil never ended. Servants brought her food she barely touched. She would sit beside the window, eyes fixed on the horizon, whispering his name into the wind. One night, when the moon was high and pale, she donned her wedding gown once more and placed a single withered rose upon the ledge. In the morning, they found her lifeless form by the window, her face serene, as if she were finally dreaming of reunion. Centuries later, travelers claim that when winter's first snow descends, a spectral bride appears in that same tower. Her veil glows like frost, her lips murmur a lover's vow.
Those who dare to listen swear they hear hooves echoing faintly in the distance, as though Sir Rowan still rides, forever returning to a love that time itself could not bury.
Ravenholm Castle was built upon sorrow. Perched on a cliff that overlooked a sea of mist, its stones held memories too heavy to fade. Locals feared to tread near its gates after dusk, for beneath the moonlight came whispers, soft, trembling voices that seemed to speak from the very walls. The tale told of Sir Tristan, a noble knight, and Alara, a humble maid. Their love was forbidden, for he was sworn to another. Yet, in shadowed corners, their hearts bound tighter than any oath. When their secret was discovered, the punishment was cruel. Tristan was executed, and Alara was sealed alive within the castle's inner wall, her cries echoing until they turned to silence. Now, when the full moon rises, travelers report hearing murmurs that drift across the courtyard. Some swear they can distinguish words, a plea, a promise, a sigh. The scent of roses fills the cold air, though no garden remains. Those who linger too long feel invisible hands brush against their faces, trembling and cold, as if the two lovers reach out from beyond the veil, still seeking each other through the centuries. Ravenholm never sleeps. The stones still remember, and under the pale moonlight, love's whispers never die. Deep within the ruins of Greystone Keep lies a narrow corridor no one dares to cross at night. Locals call it the Hall of the Last Kiss. Centuries ago, Lady Mirabelle, daughter of a cruel duke, fell in love with her sworn guard Aldrich, a man bound by oath and honor but consumed by love all the same. Their trysts were secret, their passion dangerous. When a jealous courtier betrayed them, Aldrich was cut down where they met, and Mirabelle, mad with grief, threw herself from the tower above.
Blood stained the stone floor, and the corridor became cursed, a place where love and death intertwined. Now, travelers who wander the ruins speak of strange warmth in the air, as though the corridor itself breathes.
Those who walk it alone report a sudden stillness, a faint fragrance of lilies, and then the ghostly brush of lips against their cheek. Some faint, some flee, swearing they heard a woman's soft voice whisper Aldrich, followed by the sound of footsteps that fade into nothing. The villagers say it is Mirabelle, doomed to seek her lover for eternity, offering phantom kisses to strangers in place of the one she lost.
The stones still pulse with the echo of
Love denied, a corridor forever haunted by a kiss that never found its end.
On the edge of the moors, where fog clings like morning lace, stand the fractured ruins of Thornvale Castle. The wind howls endlessly through its hollow halls, carrying with it the legend of Lady Isolda, a bride who leapt from her balcony on her wedding night. Her love, Lord Edric, was murdered by his own brother moments before the ceremony, a betrayal born of jealousy and greed. When the news reached Isolda, she fled to the balcony, her veil streaming behind her like a river of moonlight. With one final cry, she cast herself into the abyss below. The years buried Thornvale beneath ivy and sorrow, yet her veil was never found.
Centuries later, travelers who wander near the cliffs at dusk speak of seeing something pale fluttering in the wind, a silken shape swaying from the shattered stone.
When the moonlight hits it just right, it shimmers like frost.
And those who dare to gaze too long say they see a woman's face form within the fold's eyes filled with love and despair. Sometimes, the veil moves when there is no wind, curling toward passersby, as though reaching for a final touch. A whisper follows. He waits below. Some claim that if you answer the voice, your soul is drawn to the cliff's edge, and you will. See them both, the bride and her slain groom, walking hand in hand across the moor, their figures fading as dawn breaks. The veil still dances, forever caught between earth and eternity. The great hall of Ashmere Castle is vast and silent, its stone walls adorned with two grand portraits, one of Lord Alaric, the other of Lady Chelaine. Their painted eyes seem alive, locked upon each other across the room, lovers bound not by life, but by the curse that killed them. Long ago, Alaric and Chelaine belonged to rival houses. Their union was forbidden, their meetings hidden beneath candlelight and fear. When their secret was exposed, they were condemned by both families. She poisoned, he executed by sword. Before their deaths, a witch in mourning bound their spirits to their portraits, declaring, "You shall not part, even when the world forgets your names." Since that night, strange happenings plagued the hall. On stormy evenings, guests have seen the portraits move, their painted hands almost touching, their faces weeping crimson streaks like blood. Candles relight themselves as if stirred by breath, and faint music echoes a waltz long out of memory. Some say that at midnight, the lovers step down from their frames to dance beneath the flickering torches. They twirl soundlessly across the marble, their feet leaving trails of frost, their laughter fragile as wind. When dawn returns, they vanish, yet their eyes in the portraits always seem to know who has seen them. Those who witness the dance never stay again. For once you see Ashmere's lovers, you dream of them forever. Caught between life and death, in a waltz that time itself cannot end. High in the northern hills, Ravencrest Castle stands draped in mist and sorrow. Its walls whisper the legend of Sir Cedric and Lady Aveline, whose love defied the cruelty of kings. When Cedric rode to war, he swore to return before Midsummer to claim her hand. But the war raged longer than promised, and by the time he returned, victory in his grasp. He found the castle silent, her chambers sealed, her body buried in white silk. They told him she had died of grief. The bells had tolled for her 2 winters past. Overcome by madness, Cedric broke into the chapel where she lay entombed.
There, he fell beside her coffin and pressed his lips against the cold glass that separated them.
When dawn rose, the guards found him dead, a faint smile upon his face, his hand clasped with hers through the cracked tomb. Now, travelers say that every midsummer night, a ghostly knight rides through the valley, armor shimmering with dew. At the chapel door, his steed vanishes, and 2 pale figures appear, a knight and his bride. Hand in hand, their forms glowing faintly like starlight. When the first bell tolls, they fade into mist, but the scent of lilacs lingers in the air. A reminder of love that waited too long and met again too late. The great hall of Dunlow Castle lies in ruin, its chandeliers shattered, its floors warped by centuries of neglect. Yet, each winter's eve, villagers swear they see light flickering through its broken windows, candlelight, and moving shadows that dance across the walls.
Legend tells of Lord Emery and Lady Isabella, whose passion was both a blessing and a curse.
They hosted grand feasts where nobles waltzed under golden light, but their happiness enraged a jealous suitor. One fateful night, the hall was set ablaze, consuming both lovers mid. The fire reduced their bodies to ash, yet witnesses saw their silhouettes still turning amidst the flames, embracing as the ceiling collapsed.
Now, centuries later,
The dance continues.
those who peer through the crumbling doors see phantom guests twirling in silence, their faces glowing with ghostly joy.
At the center of the floor, Emery and Isabella waltz endlessly, their forms of light and shadow bound together in eternal rhythm. Music faintly echoes, harps and violins no living ear can explain. At midnight, all movement stops, and a whisper floats through the air. The dance is never over. The candles extinguish one by one, and the hall returns to darkness, waiting for another night to remember the lovers who burned, but never stopped dancing. In the depths of Castel du Morne, there lies a sealed chamber known as the Room of Eternal Embrace. No one dares to enter, for the walls are said to weep with the sorrow of two lovers turned to stone.
Long ago, Prince Lucien fell in love with a maiden named Seraphine, a healer's daughter, whose beauty rivaled the dawn.
Their love defied the crown, and when discovered, Lucien was cursed by his own mother, a sorceress queen who vowed, "If you will not let her go, I shall bind you both forever." That night, lightning struck the castle, and the next morning,
Servants found the lovers in each other's arms, their flesh turned to cold marble, their eyes frozen in devotion.
Centuries later, torches still burn dimly within the chamber, though no one lights them.
some say that when the moon is full, the statues move lips, nearly touching, hands trembling. Others claim to have heard sobbing within the walls and seen tears of water slide down stone cheeks. Those who enter never linger long. The air hums with grief so heavy it suffocates the heart. The queen's curse was fulfilled. Love preserved beyond time, yet doomed to stillness. The chamber remains locked, its door sealed by spells older than the stones themselves, a tomb for passion that eternity refused to end.
Far beyond the woods, St. Morel Abbey stands silent, its bell tower half collapsed, its gardens overrun with thorns.
The villagers say the bell sometimes rings by itself, slow, mournful, and hollow, whenever doomed lovers meet their end. It began with Brother Adrian and Sister Julienne, two souls devoted to faith, yet drawn helplessly to one another. Bound by vows of silence and purity, they met in secret under the abbey's bell tower, where each stolen moment was a sin draped in moonlight. When the abbot discovered them, he ordered Adrian executed and Julienne entombed alive in the crypt. The night Adrian was hanged, the abbey bell rang 13 times, though no one had touched the rope. Wind howled through the corridors, and the abbot fell dead before dawn. Since then, the bell tolls whenever a forbidden love ends in tragedy. Visitors who wander too near hear its chime echo through their bones. Some claim to see two spectral figures kneeling beneath the tower, a monk and a nun, their hands entwined, whispering prayers to a god who no longer answers. The bell rings still, its sound heavy with grief, a reminder that even heaven could not silence the love of the dead at Highvale Fortress. A single arched window faces the sea forever open, though every other one has been sealed by time. Through it once gazed Lady Catriona, the governor's daughter, whose heart belonged to a sailor named Eamon. They met beneath the cliffs and swore to run away together when the tides turned silver. But fate was cruel. His ship sank before dawn, swallowed by the roaring storm. For weeks, Katrina refused to move from the window, convinced she would see his lantern through the mist. Her hair turned white before its time, and she died still waiting. Her body slumped beside the sea breeze that never ceased. Now, on stormy nights, lightning flashes reveal her shadow framed in that same window, a slender figure with flowing hair, eyes glowing faintly blue. Sailors navigating the coast swear they see her lantern flicker above the cliffs, guiding lost ships toward the rocks below. Locals call her the Window Bride, doomed to wait until the sea gives back the man it stole. When the wind howls through the fortress, it sounds like her voice soft, mournful, and forever whispering, "Come home!" Deep beneath Eldenmere Castle, a network of forgotten tunnels stretches beneath the chapel. Once, it was a passage of secrecy and love. St. Urius, Agolor Dorian, fell for Amara, a novice nun who sought refuge from war. Their love was pure but forbidden, burning in the dark like a candle that refused to die. They met in the tunnels, lit only by flickering flames and the sound of their own trembling breaths. When the Lord's wife discovered their secret, her vengeance was cruel. The tunnels were sealed while they still lay within, their final embrace frozen in suffocating darkness. Over the years, villagers swore they could still see candlelight glowing beneath the earth, faint and wavering. Now, on stormy nights, the castle walls tremble with whispers. "Hold me once more."
Tourists who descend into the crypt claim the air turns warm.
And shadows move against the stone, though no one walks there.
Sometimes, a drop of wax appears on the floor, though no candles burn.
It is said that if one lights a candle in Eldenmere's chapel and leaves it overnight, it will still burn in the morning, untouched. A symbol of a love buried alive but never extinguished.
Beneath candlelight, their souls still linger, trapped between faith and desire, bound forever in flame and stone.
The villagers of Carehaven Keep tell of a strange rhythm that pulses through the castle walls at midnight, soft, slow, like a heartbeat buried in stone. It began after the tragic death of Sir Renard and Lady Elowen, whose forbidden affair defied both the church and the crown. When Elowen's father discovered their love, he ordered her heart cut from her chest and buried beneath the castle's foundation to seal her sin. In despair, Renard took his own life upon her tomb. The next night, the walls began to tremble faintly at first, then with growing intensity, as though something living beat within them. Centuries have passed, but the pulse continues. Visitors report that when they place their hand upon the wall, they feel warmth, a heartbeat, steady and human. At midnight, a woman's cry echoes faintly, followed by a man's whisper, "My heart still beats for you." Priests have tried to bless the place, but their prayers turned to silence. Some believe that the castle itself became their body, the walls, their ribs, the halls, their veins, the heartbeat, their eternal love, refusing to die. To this day, the villagers avoid the keep, for they know the lovers are still there, their hearts entwined, echoing through the cold and endless stone. On a desolate moor, Wormwood Castle lies shrouded in mist and myth. It was home to Sir Gareth, a knight cursed by a witch whose daughter he betrayed. The curse was cruel. Every soul he loved would die, bound to his spirit in eternal torment.
When he met Lady Roswyn, his heart defied the warning.
They married in secret, believing love could shatter the spell. But on their wedding night, thunder split the sky, and the witch's laughter echoed through the halls. By dawn, Roswyn was dead, her skin pale as marble, her lips frozen in a whisper of his name. Consumed by guilt, Gareth begged the heavens for death. Instead, he was doomed to linger beside her ghost, unable to touch or speak. Each night, the witch's curse revived the moment of her death, her fall, his scream, the silence that followed. Travelers who wandered to near Wormwood at dusk see two figures standing upon the battlements, a knight and a lady, reaching for each other, but never able to meet. Lightning strikes between them, freezing their forms in spectral light. Some say the curse still burns, fueled by regret. Others believe that when love defies death, it does not end. It simply turns to suffering that never fades. For centuries, the Lady in White has haunted Thornbridge Castle, gliding through its corridors like a breath of mist. Her story began with Lady Eleanor, whose arranged marriage to Lord Beaumont was meant to seal a kingdom's peace. But Eleanor loved another, a poet named Julian, who hid in the castle's library, writing verses that mirrored her soul. When the Lord discovered the affair, he ordered Julian executed and locked Eleanor in her chamber. She spent her final days writing his name on the walls until her fingers bled, then leaped from the tower window, her wedding gown billowing like wings. Now, on moonlit nights, her ghost walks the same corridors, veiled in white, eyes hollow, clutching a phantom book to her chest. Guests who stay in the castle's east wing hear soft weeping or find poetry scrawled upon their mirrors in mist. Her favorite line still appears. He waits where words never fade. Those who follow the scent of lilacs often find themselves lost,
Drawn toward the window where she leapt.
It is said that if you whisper Julian's name aloud, she will appear behind you, smiling sadly before fading into the cold night air. A bride forever mourning, a love the world refused to understand. The ruins of Cragmore Fortress hold a tale as dark as its stones. Long ago, two noble houses, sworn enemies, sought to end their feud through a forbidden pact of love. Sir Alaric of Cragmore and Lady
Vivian of Winmere met in secret to seal a blood oath, cutting their palms and pressing them together as they swore eternal loyalty.
But the peace never came. Betrayed by their own kin, they were hunted and slain before dawn. When their blood mingled upon the ground, the earth itself seemed to tremble, as if the oath had bound not just their souls, but the land around them.
Now, every year, on the anniversary of their deaths, the grass around Cragmore turns crimson.
Locals swear it's the lovers' blood resurfacing, glowing faintly under the moon. Some have heard their voices whisper in the wind. We keep our vow. Those foolish enough to camp within the ruins wake to find cuts upon their palms, their blood dripping into the soil. The old sayit is the lovers claiming witnesses to their bond, extending their eternal oath. And when thunder rolls across the moors, two shadows rise from the mist, hand in hand, bound by the promise that love, once sealed in blood, can never truly die. Long ago, Ashmere Castle was known for its lavish feasts, music, wine, and gold overflowing in candlelit halls. But the grandest of them all was the banquet of the betrothed, held to honor the union of Lord Benedict and Lady Helena, whose love was said to bless the entire realm.
Yet envy walked among the guests that night.
A vow suitor spurned and seething, slipped poison into the lovers' goblets. When the clock struck midnight, Benedict and Helena raised their cups, smiling at each other across the table, and drank their deaths. Before the crowd could scream, both collapsed into each other's arms. Their final breath was a whisper. We will feast again. Centuries later, the castle lies in ruin. But on certain moonlit nights, travelers who pass by claim to hear the echo of laughter and clinking cups. Through the broken windows, faint candlelight glows, revealing figures seated at a long table, faces pale as wax. At the table S, had sit two shadows, a bride and groom still toasting one another in eternal devotion. The food never rots, the candles never die, and the music never ceases.
Locals call it the Banquet of the Forgotten Lovers, and they say anyone who dares to join the feast will find their reflection in the goblet and never
return to the living world again in the marshlands beyond Eldreth Keep, where fog curls like smoke over stagnant waters. People still speak of Selima, the Moor's daughter, and the ghost who loved her. When her father, a noble scholar from distant lands, sought refuge in the castle, Selima's beauty captivated Sir Rohan, a knight sworn to the crown. Their love was quiet, tender, and dangerous. When the Lord discovered their meetings beneath the willow trees, he ordered Selima exiled and Rohan executed for treason. But fate played crueler games. Selima threw herself into the marsh before her ship could sail, and Rowan's ghost appeared the next dawn, standing by the same tree where they once met.
Since that day, villagers have seen a woman in silken robes wandering the mists, her golden anklets chiming faintly.
The ghostly knight follows her, a pale figure in armor, his eyes burning blue.
Sometimes.
Their voices carry across the bog. I found you at last. Those who cross the moor on quiet nights say the mist thickens suddenly, the air heavy with perfume and sorrow.
When it clears, two faint figures vanish, hand in hand, one living no more, the other never allowed to rest.
Their story endures, whispered by the reeds. Love crosses not just oceans, but the veil itself. At Cairnfell Castle, in a glass chamber high above the courtyard, blooms a single crimson rose that never fades. The tale begins with Lady Isola, a healer who loved Lord Theron, the sickly heir to the castle. Though her herbs healed his body, her love mended his soul. Yet his father forbade their union, calling her lowborn and cursed.
When Theron fell gravely ill again, Isola brewed a final potion of life. One drop for him, one for her.
They drank together beneath a full moon, swearing their love would never die. But the potion was both blessing and curse. He awoke alone, immortal and unchanged, while she lay cold at his feet, her spirit forever bound to a single rose she had worn in her hair. Now, the rose rests in the glass chamber, its petals blood-red through centuries. On stormy nights, the fragrance fills the hall, and the shadow of a woman appears beside it, touching the flower as though soothing it to sleep.
They say Theron
Still wanders the castle, a pale lord who never ages, his eyes fixed upon that eternal bloom.
The rose never withers, and neither does his grief. For in the heart of that flower lives the soul of the only woman who ever loved him.
her life traded for his, her beauty frozen in time.
The ruins of Westamere keep rest on a lonely cliff, where the wind never ceases its mournful howl. Once, it was home to Lord Garin and Lady Lynette, whose love defied their warring families. They planned to flee together at dawn, but betrayal found them first. Her brother's soldiers hunted Garin through the corridors, swords flashing in torchlight. Lynette tried to warn him, her bare feet silent on the stone, but she arrived only in time to see him struck down by her own kin. She fell beside him, and in her final breath whispered, "I will follow." Now, the wind that sweeps the cliffs carries their steps. Travelers claim that at dusk, when the wind shifts east, you can hear two sets of footsteps racing through the grass, one light, one heavy, always together, never ending. Sometimes, faint laughter joins the wind, and a glimpse of two figures running hand in hand appears atop the ridge, then vanishes like smoke. Locals say the wind itself was born from their last breath, a promise turned eternal motion. No matter how fierce the storm, their footsteps follow, soft and endless, dancing through the centuries like echoes of a love that refused to rest. Atop the cliffs of Belhurst Castle stands the lonely tower, where no bird lands and no man dares to climb. From within, on nights when fog blankets the earth, a woman's voice can be heard singing a mournful melody that chills the blood and breaks the heart. The legend tells of Leora, a bard imprisoned by her jealous husband, Lord Fenric, after she fell in love with a minstrel named Corin. He locked her away in the tower and slew her lover before her eyes. For years she sang to the sea, her voice carrying her sorrow beyond the waves. When she died, the songs did not stop. Now, sailors passing the coast swear they hear her music drifting through the wind, soft, haunting, and heartbreakingly beautiful. Those who follow the sound are found later on the rocks below, faces calm, as if lulled to eternal sleep. It is said that the tower sings only for those who mourn. Some claim Leora's ghost seeks Corin still, calling him home with every note. And when the sea is calm and the moon full, her song echoes across the cliffs, a melody so sweet that even the waves pause to listen.
In the cold heart of Ravencourt Castle, a curse was born of jealousy and broken love.
Lady Ivana, a healer of rare beauty, fell for Lord Selim, heir to the throne.
But his mother, the Duchess, despised her, a commoner with no bloodline, only compassion. On the night of their secret wedding, the Duchess struck, cursing Ivana with eternal sleep. Selim searched for years to undo the spell. Every alchemist, every witch, every priest failed him. He grew old and gray, yet still visited her body lying upon a marble bed, untouched by time. His final wish was to see her face one last time, and as his lips met hers, he breathed his last breath. At that very moment, Ivana's eyes fluttered open. She woke to find her beloved lifeless beside her, his face serene, his hand still holding hers. In despair, she kissed him again, and legend says the heavens wept. When lightning struck the tower, the guards burst in to find the room empty, only two intertwined roses upon the pillow. Every storm since then, thunder rolls above Ravencourt, and flashes reveal to silhouettes dancing among the clouds. Their love, pure enough to break a curse, became eternal light against the darkness. The ruined chapel of Gravelail Abbey stands, half buried in moss and sorrow. Beneath it lies a secret crypt sealed for centuries, the resting place of Sir Alistair and Lady Miranda, whose forbidden love defied both church and crown. They met when she came to the abbey as a novice, fleeing an arranged marriage. Alistair, a wounded knight, sought refuge in the same walls. Her prayers healed his wounds. His songs healed her heart.
When they were discovered, the abbess ordered her buried alive in penance, and him executed before dawn.
But the grave could not contain love so fierce. When masons later rebuilt the chapel, they found their coffins side by side, her bones turned toward his, fingers stretched through the cracks of stone as if reaching for his hand. The workers resealed the tomb, fearing divine wrath. But the air above the chapel still glows faintly with warmth on winter nights. Sometimes, visitors hear the soft murmur of voices beneath the floor, two lovers whispering prayers that the world denied them. The crypt remains sealed, yet candles placed there never burn out. Locals say the flame belongs to their love, still alive beneath the ruined chapel, a light the earth could not bury. Deep within Blackthorn Castle, a marble staircase leads to a sealed vault where two coffins rest side by side. They belong to Lord Roderick and Lady Isabel, the doomed lovers of legend whose passion defied law and bloodline. She was promised to his brother, a cruel man who envied Roderick Sham and her affection. When he learned of their secret vow, he ordered them both executed. But before dawn, the lovers fled, hiding in the catacombs beneath the castle. Soldiers found them before sunrise. Roderick died defending her. Isabel fell beside him, her tears staining the stone. In remorse, the brother built them a tomb, not out of love, but fear. He sealed them beneath a slab of black marble and fled the land, leaving the castle cursed. Centuries later, visitors swear they hear heartbeats echoing in the vault. On the marble lid, a single white rose always blooms, fresh, though no light ever reaches that deep. At times, faint music hums through the floor above, a slow waltz, a lover's tune. When the wind blows through the corridors, it sounds like a sigh. The locals say it is Giselle breathing still, whispering her lover's name, while Roderick's ghost guards her side for all eternity beneath the cold stone that failed to keep them apart. In the grand halls of Ashmere Castle, portraits of noble brides line the walls, but one frame stands empty. It belonged to Lady Celeste, the Duke's young wife, who vanished the night before their wedding feast. She was known for her laughter, her kindness, and her secret love for a musician named Adarin, whom the Duke had hanged when he learned of their affair. Celeste was found in her gown, eyes lifeless, a ribbon around her throat, the same ribbon Adrien once tied in her hair. The Duke buried her in the family crypt and locked her portrait away. Yet from that night on, the castle changed. At midnight, servants saw a bride in white drifting through the halls, her veil trailing, her feet never touching the ground. Her reflection appears in the mirrors, pale, radiant, eyes filled with sorrow. Every year on her wedding night, the Duke's descendants hear music echoing through the corridors, the same melody Adrien once played. When dawn comes, footprints appear leading from the crypt to the great hall, fading before the staircase. The empty portrait glows faintly with candlelight, as if waiting for her face to return. They say Lady Celeste still walks at midnight, not seeking vengeance, but searching for the lover whose song she follows through eternity. Far in the valley lies Weeping Hollow, where the remnants of Everdale Castle stand. The stones themselves seem to weep when the sun sets, as if the walls remember pain too deep to forget. Long ago, Lord Everdale brought home a bride, Lady Corin, whose beauty bewitched him. But his jealousy was madness. Convinced she still loved another, he locked her away in the western tower. For months, she called out his name, her tears dampening the walls. When she finally died of grief, the castle mourned with her, its mortars turning dark and slick with moisture.
Now, when dusk falls, water drips from the walls like tears, even in the driest summers.
Travelers hear sobbing echo through the empty corridors and footsteps pacing in the tower. Some say it is Corinne, still crying for freedom. Others claim the castle itself grieves for her death. At sunset, the air grows heavy with salt and sorrow. The sky above Everdell turns red as blood, and the wind carries a woman's voice. "I forgive you!" Then the walls begin to glisten, and the castle cries again. It is said that, until love replaces jealousy, Everdale will never stop weeping, for even stone remembers a broken heart. In the decaying chapel of Alderfell Castle, a single golden ring rests upon the altar, untouched by time, untarnished by dust. It belonged to Lady Miriam, the bride who never married, and Sir Eamon the knight who never returned. Their love defied war and oath. On the eve of their wedding, Eamon was called to battle, promising to return before the bells tolled thrice. He never came back. Rumor said his battalion vanished in the marshes, swallowed by fog. Miriam waited for months, her white gown hanging untouched, her heart fixed on hope. On the day she learned of his death, she walked into the chapel, placed her ring upon the altar, and whispered, "If he returns, let him find me here." They found her days later, lifeless, kneeling before the cross, her hands folded in prayer.
But on stormy nights, the bells ring thrice by themselves.
Those who dare to enter the chapel see a faint shimmer beside the altar, a knight's ghosts kneeling beside a bride in white, his fingers brushing the golden ring.
The candles flicker.
The air grows still, and for a moment, they are together again.
Then the light fades, leaving only the ring, gleaming softly, forever waiting for vows that death could not silence. At Rathmere Hall, the ballroom remains perfectly preserved, though the castle has long been abandoned. No dust clings to its crystal chandeliers, no cobweb darkens its mirrors. Each year, on the anniversary of its final masquerade, faint music stirs within the empty hall. Centuries, Ago Count Lucian and Lady Evelis hosted a grand ball to celebrate their union. But the joy turned to horror when the Count's jealous rival poisoned the wine. By dawn, every guest lay dead, faces still smiling, hands still clasped in dance. When the moon rises high, travelers see lights flickering in the windows. Through the cracked doors, ghostly dancers twirl in silence, gowns floating, masks gleaming. At the center of it all, Lucian and Evelis waltz forever, their movements graceful, their eyes locked in love. Those who watch too long feel their feet begin to move of their own accord. The music grows louder, wrapping around the heart like a spell. Some have joined the dance and never been seen again. The villagers warn. When you hear violins drifting through the forest, turn away. For the dead still dance at Rathmere, their eternal masquerade, never ending, and their ballroom always welcoming one more. In the long corridor of Ashmere Castle hangs a portrait painted in the year 1421, a woman of haunting beauty with emerald eyes and a smile. Tinged with sorrow, she is Lady Seraphina, wife to Lord Alaric, who died mysteriously the night the portrait was completed.
The painter vanished after finishing his work, leaving behind only whispers that he had captured her soul within the paint.
4 years after her husband's death, the portrait remained untouched. Servants swore they saw tears glistening on the lady's cheeks each full moon.
When they wiped
Them away, fresh drops appeared.
One night, a traveler spent the night in the hall and heard soft sobbing. When he turned, the woman in the painting was gone, her frame empty. He found her in the mirror instead, standing behind him, eyes wet with grief. To this day, the portrait still hangs in the same spot. On moonlit nights, the air grows heavy with salt and sorrow, and tears slide down the canvas. Some say she weeps for her lost husband. Others say she mourns her own imprisonment, a soul trapped in art, longing for a touch that never comes. Those who meet her gaze too long often dream of drowning in green water,
and wake to find their pillow damp with tears, not their own.
On the windswept cliffs of Hollowkeep, a black lace veil drapes from a ruined tower window, fluttering though no wind blows. The villagers call her the Black Lace Bride, a ghost of vengeance and heartbreak. Her name was Rowena, a countess promised to a cruel nobleman she did not love. On the night of their wedding, she tried to flee with her true beloved, a humble scribe named Thomas. The groom's guards caught them before they reached the sea. Thomas was executed before her eyes. Rowena's black laced veil was torn and wrapped around her throat. She died beneath the moon, her body cast into the waves. Now, when storms batter the cliffs, a woman in a tattered black gown appears at the window, her veil snapping in the wind, her eyes like burning coals. Sailors claim she stands upon the rocks, calling their names in a voice both tender and terrifying. Those who follow it vanish beneath the waves, joining her eternal lament.
At dawn, the sea is calm again.
Only the veil remains, glistening with seawater and grief-proof that love and fury, once entwined, can never be silenced, not even by death. In the shattered ballroom of Ashmere Castle, a faint melody plays whenever the clock strikes midnight, a waltz that has no source, no beginning, and no end. The sound drifts through the corridors like perfume, awakening the memory of Lord Adrien and Lady Selena, lovers whose devotion defied eternity. Their tale ended in blood. Betrayed by her father, Selena was forced into another marriage, and Adrien, desperate, stormed the castle to steal her away. But before he could reach her, he was struck down on the ballroom floor. In despair, she took the same blade and fell beside him. Their blood mingled beneath the chandeliers, and the musicians fled in terror. When the servants returned at dawn, they found the couple gone. Only their shadows remained, imprinted on the marble floor like black stains. Ever since, each midnight, music begins to play by itself. If one listens closely, the rhythm sounds like a heartbeat.
Those who entered the hall at that hour see two silhouettes gliding across the floor, their forms faint as smoke.
They move in perfect harmony, forever entwined, forever lost. And when the music fades, the air still hums, as if the waltz continues somewhere beyond the veil, where the forgotten lovers still dance beneath a sky that never sees the dawn.